We're starting our descent. Prepare your documents before we deplane so you never delay my schedule. Passports.
Where's yours?
I don't have a passport. Normal people want the basic human rights that accompany citizenship in any sovereign nation. I don't. My legal residence is a shack in Portugal. My official domicile is a hut on the Black Sea. My certificated abode is a lodge perched on the edge of a cliff overlooking the sub-Saharan rainforest, accessible only by goat bath. I don't live anywhere. I'm not a citizen at all. I don't need my human rights.
Saying that such behavior on the part of
The power of his genius supplied the deficiencies of the imperfect communications of the Hierophants, and he himself became a master and a revealer.
We thought we had something different here, you see. We live in both a very fragile and precious experiment in democracy, and we live in an empire that is experiencing profound decline.
Reptilian agenda. Okay, let's talk about the reptilians. So you're saying the reptilians are luring humans to like Hawaii to vacation spots?
The news is there to scare white people. I've said this for years.
To live this life, you can't live the life everyone else lives. You're not going to be partying on the weekends. You're going to be performing on the weekends. You're not going to be watching the big game on a Thursday night because you'll be in a club. You have to have that mindset that you don't belong. You don't go to the rhythm of the rest of the world.
Pepper for your steak.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Maverick Matthews, and you are listening to Pepper for Your Steak. Some of you may have found this on YouTube. It's only going to be the introduction to the podcast. I'm not at the stage where I want to put up an hour worth of video of me just sitting here. I think that'll get a little boring. But very soon, I'm going to start doing some fun editing for the podcasts because we're going weekly. I've said that in the past. It hasn't ever happened. I am in a very lucky position now. I don't mean this position. I mean in life, where I'm going to be able to devote myself wholeheartedly back to the arts. And that's a big deal for me because I've taken such a big break. You know, I left college with a fire in my belly and in my heart and in my mind and my soul and in every morsel of my being. I felt good creating art. It felt really good to create art. It feels great to put yourself in the mindset to write a song because you have to lubricate the gears. There's a reason we use chemicals to do this. I'm not going to talk about that today, but there is a healthy interaction with this planet which involves elevating your personal state to a higher level. It's called priming. Just like you prime an engine. I prime my engine with all kinds of things. This morning it's a microdose of completely legal mushrooms and some cannabis and some coffee and nicotine. All four of which Mother Nature gave us. All four of which you have receptors in your body for to receive them so that you may prime yourself into a higher state. Now, I'm not advocating the use of drugs or alcohol or anything. Hunter Thompson had a great quote about this. I hate to advocate the use of drugs, alcohol, or craziness to anyone, but they've always worked for me. So I'm super grateful to be here. I am in North Idaho right now. This is a place that I hesitate to share because it's full. There's no room here. It's full. Don't come up here. There's no more room. Which is a selfish thing to say. It was full before I got here. I fucking showed up anyway. People should travel. They should see the world. There is plenty of space out here if it were done right. Unfortunately, real estate developers don't do anything right. They do everything for the bottom line. And so we have ugly houses, boring houses, fucking houses that do not inseminate the mind with the impression of God, or the gods, more accurately. Go look at what the world used to look like when the Greeks were in charge of things in Europe. Go look at all the palazzos in Italy. You know, how they have areas that are known as nymphaeum, where they would just build little pools for the nymphs to hang out. They would make everything beautiful because they know that the way to get the favor of the gods is to entice the gods. This is real. If you don't believe there are gods, we can have that discussion on another podcast. My views on world religion are well documented. I have kind of unintentionally ostracized myself from the greater podcast community because I am so outspoken about how I believe religion is designed to prevent you from having a relationship with that which is divine. There are tenets in Islam which tell you it's okay to hurt people. Wrong. There are tenets in Judaism which tell you it's okay to hurt people. Read the Talmud, okay? Wrong. You are not a special people. You're not magical. God doesn't like you better. Obviously. Fucking look at history. Wrong. And it's because you say that you get so much punishment. And finally, Christians, I can't leave you out. You can't pretend to eat human beings every Sunday and drink their blood and then think that it's normal and it's some magical ritual. And just because your priest says that that's not what you're doing, even though it says clearly in your religious text that you're eating someone's flesh and drinking their blood. Guess what that's mimicking? That's mimicking the cycle of Kronos and time. Kronos, of course, Saturn, the entity Saturn, which is in charge of redistributing all this wealth. How do you do that? Chaos. Chaos. That's why Saturn is the checkerboard. That's why the fucking Masons are so obsessed with it and order and the work of their imaginary god. They don't even know who they're worshiping. I do. Because its influence is very obvious. But it's not in the human interest. So what's my point? I was raised extremely religious. I was extremely lucky to divest myself of that in college when I took a little class called Religions of the World. And after you look at all the world's religions and you realize that the Bible was told in an nearly identical format 16, 17 times before they managed to rewrite the calendar, it's not a new story. It's a story that's been told over and over, but it is a good story. Morals are important, and that's why it's such an effective tool at brainwashing the masses, because they give you 80 to 90% truth, and then they fucking swap out the last 10%, and you're a fucking slave giving money to these gigantic institutions who do nothing with that money except enrich themselves. They're not housing the homeless. They're not feeding the fucking poor. They're not protecting the children. In fact, they're doing all the opposite of those things. I truly believe the Vatican is the most evil entity on the face of the planet. I truly believe that of any major religious institution, because I know the gods. The gods have blessed me with this. And the only reason that happened was because I took the time to discover what it means. What is the true nature of humanity? What are we here to do? Why do I have an intrinsic voice inside of me that tells me when I'm fucking up? And how do I know for sure that those Abrahamic religions are false? It's because it goes against this. There's already love in my heart. I was born with it. My son was born with more love than most adults have left. You don't need to invite a demon into your heart. You need to make sure that you're protecting your intuition, your inner God voice, and not letting them tinker with it, because that's all they want to do is fucking cum in your soup. I'm sorry if that's a gross analogy, but that is all they want to do, is tell you that they know God better. And if you want to know God, you better listen up. You better listen. You better listen to us, because we wear these magical robes. We got the costume. You're going to go to hell. Why don't you just go to fucking Congo? It's here right now. Go to some lithium mine. Tell me that's not hell on earth. And you think that a divine creator made all these perfectly divine beings so they could be fucking slaves their whole life? There is no escape for those people. Their free will isn't going to fucking save them. Americans are so gross with this shit. You just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Not possible. That's the biggest piece of propaganda in the fucking history of the world. Right after all men are created equal. No, they're not. Some people are born without hands. I get fired up. I get real fired up. And there's a reason for that. It's because so much around me is wrong. So much around me is madness. And I see everybody else in society, with the exception of a handful of people that I am super lucky to be around. Everyone else in society drinking the fucking Kool-Aid. And it's gross. But there is hope. Because I have been at the bottom of the barrel. And even at my most desperate, when I had no money, when my son had been taken away from me, when everyone was lying about who I was and what I deserved, I still had this. And I would come up here and I would cry. I would come up here and I would say, why would you give me something so beautiful just to take it away? And that was when I realized the gods didn't take it away. It was humans. Humans ultimately are the ones who do all the evil. The gods can give you opportunities, but we're the ones who have to push the buttons and pull the triggers. And so I take responsibility for the depths of my life as much as I can. I didn't force us to go to lawyers, but perhaps my actions couldn't be interpreted any other way at the time. A lot of this is water under the bridge. Excuse me. It doesn't really serve anybody to go back and forensically examine a potential divorce. But the only way to learn from mistakes is to examine them. I learned sitting up here and in a lot of other places around the country that I hope to take you in the next couple years. I learned sitting up here, not that you have to take ultimate responsibility for your life. I already knew that. I learned a better way to manage my decisions in doing that. Because once you get crushed into dust, metaphorically speaking, and then you take responsibility for the actions that you took that got you there, inevitably you arrive at a certain point where you go, well, why isn't society backing up couples and supporting them and encouraging them to take another swing at it rather than quit? Why is this the narrative in society from toxic feminism? You don't even need a man, and neither does your boy. Look, the black community has been intentionally stripped of the fathers in their homes by drug programs, by the state, by evil white people who want to destroy the black presence in this country that is real. This is a white country. It will always be a white country. And when it isn't, it won't be America. Now, does that mean that it is inherently racist? No. It means that Fundamentally, there are people who believe that those two cultures cannot be reconciled. They don't want them to be reconciled. Now, am I a racist? Fuck no. I'm 10% Nigerian and West African. But to look at me, you'd never know that I have African in me. So I'm just another white guy. Even though my family's been in Hawaii since the 1800s under the reign of a monarchy. My family came to America not because we came here, but because America conquered the land we lived in. I have just as much right to reparations as anyone else in this fucking country. But my family didn't start protesting the United States government. We're talking about people who are very dark-skinned Portuguese. Okay? They didn't protest the United States taking over Hawaii. They said, oh, I have to respond to my dynamic changing environment, and I'm not going to fucking stop this. So I have to step up. And that's why my great-grandfather was the first representative to the Senate for Hawaii. Because he adapted, he adjusted, and he learned how to overcome. If the black community in this country wants to survive, they have to adapt, adjust, and overcome. What does that mean? They have to realize that the cultural programming they are subjected to is evil and toxic. Now, the intelligence agencies and the puppeteers don't make the artists that write the rap music. They just choose to promote the ones that further their evil materialistic agenda. And when the entire black community, the reason I'm speaking on this is because I'm about to go back to Florida, by the way, in case you're like, Maverick, where the fuck is this coming from? I'm about to go back to Florida, which has a huge black community and is completely fucking toxic. Wait until I show you some videos from Martin Luther King Day in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's the most disgusting fucking scene I've ever seen. It's women twerking with plastic surgery all over their bodies, people of every color hair, people of every shade of madness, celebrating the shitty parts of life. Big speakers, big cars, money, loudness, disorder, getting drunk, turning up. What else do they call the worst shit? Now, there's nothing wrong with partying, but that's a momentary thing. One of the most interesting things I ever heard Joe Rogan say was, how many fucking margaritas can you have on the beach before you need to get back to work? The entire black community has been tricked in this country into thinking that it is their job to get rich at any cost. To ditch your family, to bust nuts and girls without any protection, with no consequence. You know? That all forms of sexual deviance are promotable. Sorry, folks. Whether or not you're religious, these things are all wrong and evil. What would I like to see more than anything in this country in terms of race? I want to see everybody not mention it anymore. I want to see all the check boxes gone from every form. Especially in medical science, where they kill black people regularly just by fake diagnosis. You check African American on there and you take a blood test, you'll get different results than if you check white. Why? That's systemic racism. It has nothing to do with people. It has to do with the puppet masters who want to destroy all the black people in this country, and they always have. And this idea that we took it away from the Indians. Oh, the Indians, they were so... everybody was in harmony and they're saying fucking kumbaya. No, they were gang raping their enemies. Murdering and raping children. Murdering and raping fucking everyone in a tribe. They were constantly at war. Not only with themselves, but also with the environment. So this idea that anything changed when a new group of warriors showed up and took over. Now, it is true they were living more harmonious lives within the scope of the earth. I'm not for all this technology and shit. One of the most disgusting things that I've ever seen is this fucking bridge. So that we can speed up the commerce. You gotta hurry up so we can get that money. Drive around the fucking lake, you lazy sacks of shit. They're about to build another fucking bridge right next to that one, so it can have more cars. So we can ruin this fucking gorgeous natural area faster. Your priority And I'll finish this opening teaser monologue with this. I think I've left a couple loops open, but I'll try to close them right now. I'm not racist. I don't even care about race. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm anti-religion. I'm not anti-human. I'm a humanist. I believe that human beings should all have the dignity, love, comfort, resources, everything they deserve. No one should be placed in a hierarchy above anyone else. And that's all that religions seek to do. You join Christianity and they'll tell you all day long that dude, you get to come to the party. You get to go to heaven. And you can rape and murder kids your entire life. All you have to do is say, I'm sorry to God, and everything's cool. Wrong. I'm tired of these religious motherfuckers ruining this world. And there's nothing more heartbreaking to me than listening to someone like Tucker Carlson, who seems to be a pretty intelligent guy, try to recruit for an organization because he uses the concept that, like, oh, we need a solid moral foundation. Christians are good citizens. They pay their bills. They do all this shit. I don't have to be a Christian to do those things. I'm a good person. Which means every single decision I make, I try to do good. That's all we have to teach people. You don't have to have the 10 Commandments in every fucking classroom. That is presupposing the kids are stupid. They're not stupid. They're smarter than most adults, I have found. My 6-year-old drops insights on me about the nature of this world that no adult has ever articulated. And yet society wants to take him and make him a fucking slave. Sit in this desk, obey, stay quiet, wait for the bell. You're being trained to be a lifelong slave. There are people in my own family who skip every holiday so they can work. Who skip all the important cyclical rituals of our life. The very thing that gives this daily bullshit meaning is ritual. That is how you increase your personal power. Experiment with your own. Be careful because magic is real. And if you don't understand that, you could cast some spells that fuck shit up on yourself. I have. I asked for things from the gods and I didn't know any better. This is why Pythagoras taught that no man should ever ask anything of the gods. Anything. Because no man knows what is good for himself. I mean, no man should ask anything of the gods for himself. Now, I pray every day for my son's health, for his continued abundance, for his safety, the same for my wife. And I prayed to have that same abundance in my own life so that I can teach him. And I pray to be able to continue to teach whoever's watching this. And if you detect the wavering quality in my voice, if you can hear me getting choked up, it's because I grew up without a dad and nobody taught me this shit. My mom was too busy figuring out her own trauma to teach it to me. And here comes a giant train and it's going to pass right below me. And so it's a perfect punctuation to the end of this long-winded, kind of meaningless sentiment. But I will continue to articulate it over and over. Go out into nature. Get in the water. Don't drive by this lake every day. 99% of these people are going to drive by this lake every day, never going to get in it. You can baptize yourself with the truth of the Spirit every day on your own, in your own ritual. And you will live a richer, bigger life because of it. You will be happier. You will have happiness around you and abundance. Close your eyes to division. If someone else is saying something you don't want to hear, leave. Ignore them. The answer to the problems of this world is not violence. It's not to kill the Charlie Kirks of the world. Even if you think they're a Nazi. Until you have proof that that guy is executing people, leave him alone. Why aren't we pursuing people like certain leaders that have B and another B in their name? I'm not going to say it because this shit will get banned immediately. It probably already will. But there are leaders out there who are very outspoken, who have control over our country, I believe, and they're the most evil thing on the planet, and no one's chasing them down. Why? Why are they allowed to walk the earth? Why is Bill Gates allowed to walk the earth? Why are so many people ignorant to what Bill Gates truly is? Why is it so easy to fool the masses? I don't have answers to this. I just know how things are, and you need to figure out how things are so that you can learn the rules in order to adapt, adjust, and overcome them. Here comes that train. That train is your inevitable future. And that blood of Charlie's is on all of our hands. It's mostly on the hands of people who refuse to take action to change evil into goodness. That is true alchemy, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this picks up the sound of this train. There it is. They built a train track right at the absolute best land, right here at the edge of the lake. Why don't put it inland somewhere? No, they took the fucking lakefront right here and ruined it with a train track. Look around this country, drive around this country. Why did they put the roads in the best spots where people should be living? They did it to be cost effective so that they could have a return on investment. You are not in this life to get a return on any investment other than the spiritual. And to do that, you don't have to have anyone's permission. You just have to do good in every decision every day. And that's fucking hard enough. Sorry, I'm not sure why this made me so emotional. I told you, I spent a lot of time up here trying to figure out what the fuck I was doing. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are doing the same thing every day, taking the walks in the neighborhoods going, how am I going to pay my bills? I can't even feed myself. That was me in Los Angeles. You just have to keep turning those gears, folks. Keep grinding. And eventually the universe will drip you. If you keep making the correct decisions, it will give you an opportunity. I promise you that. That is a promise you can take to the bank. There are forces here that are championing your future. And they're with you every second of every day. You just have to learn how to believe in them and how to hear their voice. My name is Maverick Matthews. And this is Pepper for Your Steak. Gratitude.